You know what they say, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Whoopi Goldberg accidentally made the case defending one of President Trump's top agenda items, shutting down the Department of Education. You could tell that the audience, as well as her co-host, were shocked, but that wasn't the best part. The best part was when the producers told her to stop and that they were cutting to commercial break.
We have to always do, regardless of who you voted for, you still got to pay your rent, you still got to take care of your kids, you still got to take care of your business. And maybe some of what's happening, like, you know, they're trying to take apart the Department of Education.
Yes.
Maybe that is a good thing, because maybe it will force us to make sure that our kids actually get what they need. Maybe it'll force us to go to our state and say, listen, I want to make sure, since you're taking all this money from my taxes, I want to make sure that my kids get exactly what they need. I don't have to wait for the government to do it. We can do it. This is now in our hands. This is in our hands, and it's going to be tough, and nobody wants to do it because it's a bitch. But you know what? If it comes down to your survival, this is what you got to do. You got to take care of what you got to take care of. And they're telling me that we're going to be right back.
Yeah, we're going to cut to commercial break, Whoopi, because you're going off script here. Now, I rewatched that clip a few different times to pay attention to everyone's reaction, and it's just hilarious. Whether it's Sunny Hostin's complete deadpan the entire time, or Joy Behar nervously looking at her legs and her hands, you know, twiddling her thumbs. Whoopi, what are you doing here? Whoopi, you're not supposed to say that. I mean, it's just comedy gold. A pig is flying somewhere. If you see it, let me know. I never thought I would see Whoopi say those things. And what's particularly funny about it is that they clearly were searching for the silver lining, right? The Democrats don't want the Department of Education shut down, so that's not why Whoopi Goldberg said those things. She was looking for the silver lining, and the silver lining she found was the exact argument that President Trump, Republicans, and conservatives have been making for years. And the argument is that more government isn't going to make things better. If anything, more government has actually made things worse. So let's return things to the state and local level. Let's have parents get involved. As many of you know, I teach at a music school one night a week, and I've noticed that with my own students. It's the students who have super involved parents or a strong support system that really thrive. I can prescribe all I want to when it comes to practice. I can assign them different pieces, but if they don't have a good support system, it's just not going to happen unless they intrinsically have that drive in them. So Whoopi made some great points there, and you know, when even Whoopi is on board with what President Trump is doing, that right there is a 90 to 10% issue. So watch out, Democrats. But it wasn't just The View where this happened today. It wasn't just ABC where the truth actually got past the information gatekeepers, got past the censors. Over on CNN, they were talking about the Maryland man who was accidentally deported by the Trump administration. And a top CNN legal analyst actually said that the Trump administration has done and is doing nothing wrong. Who would have thought this would have aired?
And President Trump and President Bukele made it clear that Abrego Garcia will not be returned to the United States, despite this U.S. Supreme Court ruling saying that Trump had to facilitate his return. So are they just ignoring a U.S. Supreme Court ruling, or is the fact that the ruling was so mushy, in your words,
yes,
giving him an opening?
It's a technical term I learned in law school, Jake. Mushy, look, they're working within the ambiguity that the Supreme Court justices gave them. They did not order the administration to return him to the United States. They said that they need to facilitate this return. They could have said, we order him returned, but they didn't do that. So you heard the Attorney General. She was being very careful in the Oval Office. When she was asked, would you help? She says, of course we'd provide a plane, right? Thereby facilitating whatever El Salvador is doing. The Supreme Court appeared to defer to the executive branch, given that this is an international matter. And you see, yes, it does look a little bit like a semantic game, but they are playing within the bounds of what the Supreme Court ruled. So no, they are not defying this order.
And take a listen to how White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller views it.
And a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador.
Stephen, you got the win. I don't know why he had to go so far, because what he's saying is not completely accurate. No, I'm talking to the kidnapping. All right. So the district court said that the administration needed to facilitate and effectuate the return of this man to the United States and gave a date. The Supreme Court says, yes, you need to facilitate this. But when it comes to effectuating, making it happen, they said this needs to go back down to the lower court. They need to clarify what that meant. And they warned the lower court, you need to be deferential to the executive branch because we're talking about foreign affairs. And they gave no deadline. So again, they're not running afoul, but Stephen's summary of the case there, the holding, it's not exactly accurate.
All right, Paula Reed, thanks so much. Appreciate it. With us now.
She is 100% spot on with her analysis of this. I didn't like what they were talking about earlier when they were talking about, oh, it's just semantics. But no, when it comes to law and legal arguments, it's all about semantics. There is a difference between facilitating and effectuating. Now, the left is arguing that he was accidentally deported, which is only partially true. And in fact, when you take a look at the core argument that they're making, it's mostly untrue. So let's take a look together at the court documents to find out what's actually going on here. So Abrego Garcia was denied bond at a hearing on April 24, 2019, citing danger to the community because the evidence showed that he is a verified member of MS-13. The IJ also determined that he was a flight risk. Now, the left is arguing, oh, he's not a member of MS-13. You have no evidence of that. And again, that's only partially true. He was never convicted of being an MS-13 gang member in court, but evidence was shown in court, and because of that evidence, he was denied bond, and many of his appeals were denied in the process. Now, in this part of the document, the Trump administration, does admit that they did accidentally deport Abrego. So, on March 12, 2025, ICE Homeland Security investigations arrested Abrego Garcia due to his prominent role in MS-13. 12, the operation that led to Abrego Garcia's removal to El Salvador was designed to only include individuals with no impediments to removal. 13, ICE was aware of this grant of withholding of removal at the time of Abrego Garcia's removal from the United States. 14, this is where things start getting a little crazy here, and this is where the mistake happened. Abrego Garcia was not on the initial manifest of the Title 8 flight. He was basically on the standby list. But as people were removed from the list, removed from the flight, he started moving up, and he ended up being moved up so much that he was on the flight. But here is the defense for the Trump administration. The manifest did not indicate that Abrego Garcia should not be removed from the list, is what they're talking about there. And then number 15, the admission. Through administrative error, Abrego Garcia was removed from the United States to El Salvador. This was an oversight, and the removal was carried out in good faith based on the existence of a final order of removal and Abrego Garcia's purported membership in MS-13. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, whoa, Daniel, I thought you said he wasn't accidentally deported. No, like I said earlier, it's only partially true. So he was supposed to be deported, but he wasn't supposed to be deported to El Salvador. He was supposed to be deported to another country, like, say, Guatemala. And this is because of Barrio 18, which is a rival gang to MS-13. And because of Barrio 18, Garcia was going to be in a life-threatening situation. According to the document, the respondent is a 24-year-old native of El Salvador. The second sentence, the respondent testified that he fears returning to his country because the Barrio 18 gang was targeting him and threatening him with death because of his family's pupusa business. Okay, so he couldn't go back to El Salvador, and in fact, CNN confirms this. In case you don't believe me, that meant he could not be deported to El Salvador, but could be deported to any other country, like I said, like Guatemala. And you'll even see they quoted what I just quoted to you. A gang in his native country, Barrio 18, the immigration judge found, had been targeting him and threatening him with death, etc., etc. So yeah, for all the Democrats saying he was accidentally deported to the wrong place, which is terrible. But as the court ruled, the administration must facilitate, not effectuate, his return. Now, Democrats are saying that he's in grave danger being in El Salvador, but why would he be in grave danger? Oh yeah, because of Barrio 18. But why would Barrio 18 be a threat to him unless he's a member of MS-13. Like, the arguments that the left is using about him being wrongly deported actually undercuts all their previous arguments. They're contradicting themselves. And all of this leads to today's question of the day. What do you think about this entire case? Do you think he should stay there? Do you think the administration should do more to bring him back? Do you have doubts about the MS-13 allegations, or are you upset about due process? Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. A few more stories before we wrap up today's video. In case you're worried about President Trump's approval numbers, take a look at this new poll from NBC. Polling shows a growing number of Republicans identify with the MAGA movement. More than 1/3 of registered voters identified themselves as MAGA supporters in March's NBC News poll. That includes 71% of Republicans. But what they did here was they buried the lead, because it's not just among Republicans. Democrats and independents are also identifying as MAGA, and in fact, this is the highest point it's ever reached. It's 16 points higher than when NBC started asking that question years ago. So despite Doge, despite the tariffs, the MAGA movement is more popular than ever. And speaking of Doge, earlier today from Bloomberg, IRS to lose 20% of its workforce, or 20,000 workers, to President Trump's new resignation offer. And this, by the way, this 20% is pretty much in line with what Elon Musk promised as far as reducing the size of the IRS. So that is very exciting news. What a great way to celebrate tax day. Now, the last story of today is Carmelo Anthony, the high school track athlete who stabbed and brutally murdered Austin Metcalf, was released on bond today. So a judge lowered the bond from $1 million to $250,000, and he's walking free. The media was outside asking him questions.
We're up, we're up, we're up, we're up.
Carmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say? Carmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say to the victims, to the family of the victims? Why were you armed, sweetheart? Carmelo, why were you armed at school? Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
Carmelo, would you like to say?
So as of today, Carmelo Anthony has raised almost $500,000 from the online campaign supporting him. Now, what's crazy is that his family is now using that to buy a new home. Sent home family of killer Carmelo Anthony to buy a new house and security with donated $430,000 as he's freed in Austin Metcalf murder. This was also confirmed by the Daily Mail. Killer teen Carmelo Anthony family reveals other plans for their legal defense fund, which again are basically a new home, a mansion, as well as security. Now, you probably noticed the man in the navy blue jacket walking out with Carmelo Anthony. That is not his lawyer. Carmelo Anthony's original lawyer actually dropped him, presumably because he felt like he couldn't defend the case, but Carmelo Anthony has a new lawyer. But the man in the navy blue jacket is Minister Dominique Alexander, as you see here in the photo. He posted this on social media. Carmelo Anthony is safe at home. This moment is a reminder that a community united can never be divided. Now, because of this photo, people were able to identify the new mansion that Carmelo Anthony's family bought with all that money that they raised. And as you can see here, the mansion costs $863,000. So they are living it up. Now, there's just one problem about this so-called minister who is backing Carmelo Anthony, and it's that he actually has his own criminal record. So, according to the Dallas Observer, which is a local paper there, Dallas activist Dominique Alexander sentenced to prison. And what happened was he was babysitting his then girlfriend's 2-year-old son, and he ended up going to the hospital because the 2-year-old son had brain, head, eye damage from quote-unquote falling off the couch. However, they found out that when the doctors were taking a look at the 2-year-old child, the injuries had nothing to do with falling off a couch. It was actually shaking baby syndrome. Dominique Alexander was shaking the baby so hard that he got hemorrhages in both his eyes. This was also confirmed by the Dallas Express. You can see the very first box for causing serious bodily injury to his girlfriend's 2-year-old son. The next, he was also convicted for forgery. He pled guilty to that and was convicted and sentenced. And then he also shoved and butt-headed his longtime partner, and was accused of continuous violence against the family. So that is who Carmelo Anthony is surrounding himself by and who many people are now rallying around. I think it's an interesting choice of friends and allies, and who you surround yourself with does say a lot about you. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So again, the question of the day is, what do you think about the Abrego Garcia situation? Are you happy he's there? Do you think he should be brought back? Are you upset with how it was handled? Let me know all your thoughts. There are no wrong answers down below. I shared my opinion, and you, of course, are more than welcome to share yours. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.